Conor McGregor versus Jorge Masvidal, two of the most electrifying, most marketable, most naturally gifted fighters the UFC has ever put in front of a camera. Two men whose entire careers have been built not just on winning, but on winning in a way that makes the whole world stop and pay attention. Two fighters who have redefined what it means to be a star in this sport. And right here in UFC 4, the simulation puts them together and answers the question that combat sports fans have been asking since Masvidal became the baddest man on the planet. Let's start with Conor McGregor, because regardless of what has happened in the later stages of his career, regardless of the losses and the layoffs and the controversies, what McGregor did in his prime was nothing short of revolutionary. He walked into the UFC as a featherweight from Dublin, with a left hand that belonged in a different sport entirely, and a confidence that bordered on delusion until it turned out to be completely justified. He knocked out Jose Aldo in 13 seconds, the longest reigning featherweight champion in the history of the sport, a man who had not lost in a decade. Gone in 13 seconds, he moved up to lightweight and knocked out Eddie Alvarez to become a simultaneous two-division champion, the first in UFC history. His striking is genuinely beautiful in the technical sense. The stance, the movement, the way he loads the left hand from angles that don't look threatening until the moment they are. McGregor doesn't just knock people out, he sets them up. He engineers the finish over the course of exchanges, planting seeds, reading reactions, waiting for the exact moment the door opens. And his trash stroke, his ability to get inside an opponent's head before the fight even begins. That is a weapon in itself. McGregor has made fighters emotional, made them angry, made them abandon their game plans before they even walked into the octagon. In a real fight, that matters. But it's worth acknowledging because it is part of what makes McGregor the phenomenon he became. Now let's talk about Jorge Masvidal, Gamebred, a man who spent the early part of his career grinding through the regional circuit, fighting everywhere, fighting anyone, getting paid almost nothing and learning his craft in the hardest possible school. By the time he reached the UFC, he was already a complete fighter, not because of a system, not because of a world-class team from day one, but because he had been forged in the fire of necessity. And then 2019 happened, the year that turned Masvidal from a respected veteran into an icon. He knocked out Darren Till with a beautiful combination in London. He flew a knee into Ben Askren's face after 5 seconds, the fastest knockout in UFC history, and then stood over him like he'd been waiting his entire career for that moment. And then he took a short notice fight against Nate Diaz for the BMF title and went 5 rounds with one of the toughest men alive and won. 3 fights, 3 statements, 1 year. The whole sport changed its opinion of Jorge Masvidal overnight. His striking is different from McGregor's but equally dangerous. McGregor is precise and surgical. Masvidal is explosive and intuitive. He doesn't always follow a pattern. He reads the moment and pulls the trigger. The flying knee against Askren wasn't a planned technique executed perfectly. It was a man who saw an opening in the first second of the fight and had the athleticism and instinct to take it. And that kind of improvised, instinct-driven striking is genuinely difficult to prepare for, and because there's no pattern to study, you can't watch film on a move that comes from nowhere. Masvidal also brings a ground game that is significantly underrated. He's not going to submit McGregor. Neither man is likely to find a submission finish in this matchup, but Masvidal is competent enough on the mat to not be in danger if the fight goes there, and good enough on his feet to get back up if he ends up in a position he doesn't want to be in. So what does the simulation actually come down to? It comes down to the left hand versus the right. McGregor's left hand is the most dangerous simple weapon at welterweight, the division where the simulation is presumably taking place given where both men have competed. If that punch lands clean, the fight is over. It has ended fights against elite competition, and it will end this one. But Masvidal is not a man who walks into shots. He has good head movement, he has good reactive instincts, and he has the experience of fighting at every level of this sport to know when danger is coming. The pace of this fight is crucial. McGregor has historically been a fast starter who prefers to finish early. His cardio in longer fights, particularly at welterweight, has been questioned. The Diaz rematches showed that McGregor at championship pace over 5 rounds is a different proposition than McGregor in the first 2 rounds when he is fresh and sharp and hunting. Masvidal, on the other hand, has shown the ability to maintain his output across 5 rounds. The Diaz fight went the distance and Masvidal is still dangerous in round 5. If the simulation goes deep, the momentum shifts. The clinch is an interesting battleground here as well. Neither man is a wrestler in their traditional sense, but both are competent in the dirty boxing range. McGregor uses the clinch to create separation and land short punches on the break. Masvidal uses it to set up knees, and his knee game is elite. The flying knee against Askren is the highlight, but his knee strikes in the clinch have been a consistent weapon throughout his career. If Masvidal can establish the clinch and start landing knees to the body, that accumulates damage in a way that changes McGregor's movement and changes his willingness to stay in the pocket. The wild card in all of this, and I keep coming back to it, is the explosiveness. Both of these men are capable of capable of ending a fight in a single moment without warning. Masvidal has done it in 5 seconds. McGregor has done it in 13. This is not a fight that is likely to be decided on points. This is where one exchange, one misslip, one moment of overconfidence changes everything, and in that environment both are equally dangerous and equally capable of being the one who pays the price. Conor McGregor versus Jorge Masvidal, the notorious fighter versus Gamebred. 2 of the sport's greatest entertainers, 2 of its most dangerous strikers, 2 men who have built entire legacies on doing the unexpected in the most dramatic way possible. In the simulation, only one man walks out with the finish, and right here in UFC 4, the simulation will give us the answer.